Joy News Prime.
It's another edition of Joy News Prime coming to you from Fano for Kukumlele here in Accra. My name is Israel Lai. In this edition, pressure group Let My Vote Count Alliance vows to fight perpetual injunction by the police to stop them from picketing at the Electoral Commission and Parliament House. Justice Derry sues Accra International Conference Centre and others for allowing the facility to be used to screen documentary by Anas Barima Anas exposing judicial corruption. But this has not stopped its screening for the second time in as many days. The poor are getting poorer in Ghana, despite latest figures indicating Ghana has significantly reduced poverty as envisioned in the Millennium Development Goals.
And in business tonight, the local currency is yet to react to news of the impending injection of $1.8 billion of the cocoa syndication loan into the economy. But a currency analyst we've been speaking to says it is early days yet.
And Accra Mayor orders demolition of new structures emerging from ruins of notorious slum at Old Fadama here in Accra. Would also bring you excerpts of the Joy FM debate about whether the 40-year development plan being developed or being mooted is feasible. There will also be sports, entertainment, business and international news. My name is Israel Lai, and this bulletin is also available across Europe on ABN television. Stay tuned. In our very first story, the police service is seeking a perpetual injunction to stop members of the Let My Vote Count Alliance from picketing at the head office of the Electoral Commission in Accra. A demonstration by the alliance last week to support demands for a new voters register ended in clashes with the police, with some of the protesters suffering brutalities. The group had vowed to stage another demonstration this week, only to be told that the police are in court seeking a perpetual injunction. Convener of the Let My Vote Count Alliance, David Asante, addressed the media on Wednesday.
The Let My Vote Count Alliance want to use this opportunity to express our gratitude to all political leaders who have condemned the event of Black Wednesday, including the 2016 flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Dudankwa Akufo-Addo, for calling on the president to set up a probe. We are also grateful to the President, His Excellency John Mahama, for his response in acknowledging the state's abuse of human rights as happened in the full glare of the public last week, Wednesday. We, however, strongly disagree with the President's directive for the police to probe the police. Moments and days after the protest, the police hierarchy publicly defended the actions of their men. The question is, can the police do a fair job? If the likes of Justice Ajakuma are to get justice, then nothing short of an independent public inquiry will do, ladies and gentlemen. The President must have this set up within a matter of a week if he is sincere about his expression of sympathy and regret for the victims. This afternoon, our lawyers, Zoe, Atachia and Co. filed an application to set aside that ill-conceived injunction. Even if we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court to once and for all stop this culture of the police abusing the Public Order Act of 1994 to sit on, we are ready to do so. Sure. Were we all not in Ghana last year on Republic Day? Did we all not see the Occupy Flagstaff protest where hundreds of demonstrators marched to the vicinity of the office of the President, and a handful of the organizers were allowed to enter the Flagstaff House, in fact, the seat of government, to present petition at the presidency? Are we saying that the Electoral Commission is more of a security area than the presidency? What is at the Electoral Commission that the state is so afraid of that they do not wish Ghanaians to see? So much so that they will go the extent of removing the eye of a protester.
The second vice chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Sammy Crab, is questioning moves by the MPP Council of Elders to get party chairman Paul Afoko sanctioned. The 30-member council, in a letter to the disciplinary committee, proposed, among others, that Mr. Afoko should be made to step aside. In the following interview, Joy News' Kwacha Frenuama, Mr. Crabb says the Council of Elders lacks the mandate to take such disciplinary action.
Well, it is unfortunate, if I may put it that way. I've been going through the Constitution, and I don't see any part of the Constitution that says that one of the duties of the National Council of Elders is to recommend the suspension or disciplinary, of a national officer. I don't see anything like that. So
you are saying that the National Council of Elders does not have the powers to push for something like this?
I think as per the Constitution, I mean, there's nothing stated there. It's the individuals who actually go and report things, and even if there is a member of NEC, you want to take a member of NEC to the National Disciplinary Committee, there's a route, and I think this is not the right route. So really, I think it's just unfortunate.
These are elders in your party. These are people who are top guns in the parties, many of them founding members of the MPP. They are well vexed with matters of the Constitution.
You see, a lot of people, when they hear Council of Elders, they think that is a supreme body. This is an advisory body. There's a chairman who prepares a list. It goes around. So I think that as an advisory body, things must be referred to them before they actually make a move. So I have a problem with that.
Well, the national chairman of the new opposition New Patriotic Party, Paul Afoko, says despite the current cracks in the party, it is poised to win the 2016 general elections. The NPP has, over the last few months, been grappling with issues threatening the unity of the party, with some political analysts predicting defeat if the problems are not addressed. But Mr. Afoko says the party still continues to pursue other agendas that will win it power in 2017. He was speaking at the launch of the new electronic membership card for the NPP.
All I can say is that under the constitution of our party, I have the mandate to handle all of our fundraising efforts. And this is a fundraising effort. I hope you guys can be generous enough to our party to understand that even though we face challenges, we still have to come up with solutions.
So this is not a mask?
No, it's not a mask. This is a genuine work we are doing, a genuine piece of work we are doing. And we intend to continue to do more. We face lots of challenges every day. For example, we will soon go on a membership drive, and that falls under the purview of the General Secretary and the National Organizer. Once they start doing that, is it a mask? No. This is what a political party does. We're not putting up masks.
We're taking a break. We'll be back with more news. Please don't go away. The Eastern Region branch of the governing National Democratic Congress has disqualified 3 parliamentary aspirants for various offences. The disqualifications were announced after the candidates had been vetted in Koforidua. Let's get on to the phone lines now. I speak with our Eastern Region correspondent Kofi Sian for more on this. Good evening to you, Kofi. Who are these candidates and why have they been disqualified?
Well, Israel, the party executives in the Eastern Region made this known when 81 candidates who present themselves for the vetting. And the names they gave as those disqualified are Nick Asa. He is contesting or aspiring for the Nsawam Adwajui constituency of the NDC. Then Anthony Jima, also for Ebuakwa North constituency. Then Kwame Odamedakwa for Fantiakwa North constituency. And briefing the media as to why they disqualified these people, the communications director of the NDC, Solomon Kansa, said, for instance, Nikata, who is contesting or aspiring for the Nsawam Adwajui constituency, contested on the ticket of the PPP in the last elections, that is the 2012 elections. And in the case of Anthony Jima, for Ebuakwa North, he also contested on the ticket of the NPP in the 2012 election. But for Kwame Odamedakwa, who is also aspiring for the Fantiakwa North constituency, Mr. Solomon Kansa said he failed to produce a membership card as to, to clear him or to make him eligible to contest on the ticket of the of the NDC. So they've asked him to go back to clarify that, or bring back his membership card, which will, eventually make him a member of the NDC. So that is the reason why they gave for the disqualification of these three aspirants.
Kofi, do we have any reactions from them yet?
Well, unfortunately, the announcement was made just after the people had left the vetting venue. So we weren't able to speak to these three people who we were told have been disqualified by the party. But Solomon Kansa told the media that they have the opportunity to appeal to the General Secretary of the NDC, that is Mr. Johnson, and the documentations will be looked into, and if they qualify, they will be allowed to participate in the November 7th election. But if not, then the status quo remains.
All right, thank you very much. Kofi Sian is our Eastern Region correspondent who was joining us on the line to update us on the disqualifications, some disqualifications in the Eastern Region branch of the Government National Democratic Congress after the vetting of parliamentary aspirants there. In other news, poverty continues to worsen in Ghana despite the country's successes towards meeting the Millennium Development Goals. Ghana managed to halve the proportion of people living in extreme poverty between 1990 and 2006, but progress is yet to be seen in rural and northern Ghana. According to the final MDG report on Ghana, the living standards of rural folks have worsened over the years and remains a major source of concern. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more.
The 97-page report points to increasing inequalities between rural and urban dwellers, as well as residents in the northern and southern parts of the country. According to the national average, overall poverty in Ghana declined from 32% of the population in 1990 to 24% in 2013. But the three regions of the north still have high poverty rates than the national average. Economist at the University of Ghana, Dr. William Boateng, says the poor are getting poorer.
Now, it's quite interesting to talk about incidence of poverty. So poverty, as far as Ghana is concerned, we've been able to achieve the target. But when we take an indicator of depth of poverty, we still have poverty being deeper. And what do we mean by depth of poverty? We are talking about the distance, those who are still poor, the distance from where they are up to the poverty line. And we still have many people who are far from getting to the poverty line. So even though we've been able to attain the poverty incidence, we still have a challenge when it comes to poverty gap.
Economist Dr. Eric Asibe-Yabua attributes this to the growth of the economy in areas that benefit only a few persons.
It underscores the quality of the growth process, the distributional effect of this growth, and the inclusiveness of the growth that we have had. And that means that we need to look at the sources of this growth. Where are we generating our growth from? Most of our growth is coming from the extractive sectors, the mining, oil, extractions, which is often heavily capital intensive and which tend to have very low or no linkage at all with the other sectors of the economy. And therefore, it is not able to carry the majority of our people along when we're growing. It also shows that the growth is being driven by very sophisticated financial systems that we have, the ICT, which also require high-skilled labor at the expense of our unskilled labor.
Director General of the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Nimoy Thompson, wants policymakers to do more to bridge this gap.
From the 2015 report has shown that despite the real progress made, the most vulnerable people, the poorest of the poor, and other disadvantaged groups have recorded limited progress. Disparities in progress between urban and rural areas remains a very constant worry that much continues to be done to command the attention of policymakers. And here too we need to emphasize that disparities are very pronounced, especially in urban areas where poverty generally has fallen, but inequality has also gone up. While poverty remains high, in rural areas where inequality is relatively low also for obvious reasons.
The report shows Ghana successfully met 4 of the 8 MDGs, including that on poverty eradication. 2 of them were not achieved, and average marks were recorded in meeting the rest of the 2. For Joy News, Joseph Opohugapo, Accra.
We're taking another break. We still have more news. Stay tuned. Now, the second public screening of a documentary by investigative journalist Barima Osei Asare on corruption in the country's judiciary is currently underway at the Accra International Conference Center. This is in spite of a contempt suit against Mr. Nas, his company, the managers of the conference center, and Accra-based UTV. Joy News' Matilda Mwega is one of those watching the documentary and joins us on the line now. Good evening to you, Matilda.
Good evening, Israel.
Right, any notable incidents or scenes in the documentary that strikes you?
Easy, from the 2 hours viewing that I have been.
Was it the same today?
Yes, today I would say that the number is not that much, but interestingly, Israel, I have with me a gentleman. I don't want to mention his name or his family background, but he tells me the judges who have been implicated, he's a family member, and the family is supposed to meet in the coming days. Matilda
Mwega was speaking there to a relative of one of the judges implicated in the judicial corruption expose. Now, after the premiere of the documentary on Tuesday evening, some members of the audience expressed sadness at what they had seen and urged Ghanaians to reflect on it to help end corruption in the country.
It's a sad day in the history of Ghana, and we should all be crying, and it calls for sober reflection. You know, what do we do to rescue Ghana from this rot that we find ourselves in?
The sense of society, whether for journalists, whether for parliamentarians, whether for politicians, whether for business people, whether for church leaders, quite clearly, people who are in positions of trust, whatever those positions are expected by those who put them there to behave themselves in a way that keeps their reputations in a manner that protects the integrity of the particular institution. So in this case, it's the judiciary whose reputation is at stake. But we've of course heard in the past about other institutions, both of state and in the public and private sectors, that may be having problems. And it goes from the sports field to the parliamentarian section. It involves, you know, the executive branch of government and men and women of God. So all of us have many lessons to learn from this.
I never thought justice is that cheap in Ghana, and we go ahead bribing the police. I mean, the police commanders charge better than the judges. I am so disappointed. I mean, I think the one that took the best prize was the one that had sex.
So we're staying with the judicial corruption expose, and I'm joined in the studio by Evan Spencer, who apparently there's a new twist to all of this. Today, 2 new writs have been filed by Justice Derry. One of them has to do with suing or asking that the Supreme Court take up these proceedings and quash all that has been going on, the disciplinary proceedings that have been initiated by the Judicial Council.
Yeah, we got wind of this yesterday, right, that it was going to happen today.
And indeed.
And indeed happened. Why? Because, you know, yesterday they dropped this injunction application against the NAS. And the thinking was that, well, and I spoke to the Justice Derry's lawyers, and he was making the point that, in fact, it's in their interest that a NAS goes ahead to screen the video for the premiere yesterday. And if you look at the processes they filed today at the Supreme Court, they cite the 22nd September premiere to make their case. And they make the case that because the constitutional provision that details how you remove a High Court judge says that entire process must be held in camera. Once you publish the details that were going to be used as a basis for the impeachment process, you know, the material, the raw material, that is the evidence, the videos that we've all been watching since yesterday. Once you publish that, it's no longer in camera anymore. It's no longer secretive. It's no longer private. It's become a public matter. And that should render that entire process null and void. In fact, that's one of the major reliefs they're asking the courts to pronounce and declare the impeachment, the petition, Manasseh's petition, as null and void.
Manasseh's petition?
Yes. It's a Manasseh's petition that he sent to the president. The president then forwards that to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice sets up the committee to establish a prima facie case, after which then they can be removed if there's a case.
So that's the first writ. And then he has a second one, this time targeting some institutions, the Accra International Conference Center.
And UTV.
And UTV. For contempt.
For contempt, because he says, well, you know, yesterday, although they dropped the injunction case against Anas, they maintained the injunction case against the managers of the International Conference Center. And in fact, they managed to serve that injunction on the management. And so they say, for the management of an International Conference Center to allow their premises to be used for the premiere yesterday, they had violated the court orders, although there's no court order technically, because nothing has been granted. It's simply an application. They are asking the court to place an injunction. That hasn't been granted yet. And I've heard the lawyers argue, I don't know, but the lawyers argue that there are two schools of thought, that once the application is filed, it's deemed that it should stop you until the court pronounced. But they say the other school of thought that says that once it hasn't been declared or pronounced on, you can still go ahead. But he believes that the mere fact that they were served should have stayed their, I guess, their hands in allowing that place to be used. And they've gone ahead to do that. And so he's asking for contempt. And the thing about contempt is, he's also asking that they be imprisoned. The managers of UTV apparently also showed this yesterday for some time. So both of the managers of the conference center and manager of UTV, they're asking them to be imprisoned. And so we'll see. This is heard very soon. Now it's going to the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice will have to empanel the Supreme Court with an odd number of judges to look into it. And that, again, will be interesting, because the same Chief Justice is the one who is, again, appointing people to look into their case. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the last of this.
Yeah, because it looks like each day we're having a new thing coming from Justice Derek.
I think one thing I said to him, somebody should put together a movie about all this once it ends, to be a blockbuster.
Have you seen the movie, the documentary?
I wanted to go, of course. You've kept me here. I was going to rush.
Right, you can get to
go watch it. So I can go watch it. I can go watch it.
Yes,
okay,
you can.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much.
All right, but I mean, be careful. You may be cited for contempt.
That's true. We had that yesterday, in fact.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're bringing you business news with Etonam. Stay tuned. It's time now for Business in Etonam says here. Good evening to you, Etonam.
Good evening, Israel.
Right, so there's been lots happening in the...
A whole lot, Israel.
Yeah, a whole lot today. But one of the most interesting things has to do with the performance of the city, or its reaction or non-reaction
to the co-syndication loan.
What's happening?
Well, it appears that the market is not feeling it yet, but some currency analysts are saying it's early days yet. So.
Well, I think I recall a conversation with you
Ezra,
where I told you that the markets ain't likely to feel it.
But I think that once it gets in, which will be hitting the Bank of Ghana accounts next month, we are sure going to be seeing some appreciation, Israel.
Let's see, I guess.
All right, now the Ghana cedi is here to record some appreciation in value following news from Cocoa Board that proceeds from the cocoa loan syndication will hit Bank of Ghana's accounts in the first week of next month. So why is the local currency not responding? The following desk report has more.
For a lot of analysts, the delay is interesting, especially when in previous instances, news that Bank of Ghana was even preparing to pump more dollars into the economy saw the cedi respond with some sharp appreciation. This is because individuals who were holding on to dollars for speculative purposes or investment hastened to sell their dollars. However, checks with currency dealers in some commercial banks last Friday indicate the cedi is still hovering around the 4 Ghana cedi mark. It was anticipated by managers of the economy that proceeds from the cocoa loan syndication will contribute to the cedi's appreciation. But some currency analysts Joy Business has been speaking with say a lot of dealers want to wait for the $1.8 billion cash to actually hit the Bank of Ghana's account.
That's how I wrap up with business. My name is Etonam Semini. Thanks for your time. There's more news with Israel. Please stay.
Watching Joy News Prime. In international news, Burkina Faso's interim president, Michel Kafando, has been formally reinstated a week after the military takeover. The ceremony took place in the capital, Ouagadougou, in the presence of several West African leaders who helped mediate an end to the crisis. It comes a day after the Presidential Guard, who were behind the coup, signed a deal with the regular army to avoid violence. They pledged to return to barracks and the army to withdraw from the capital. Congo-Brazzaville's leader says he will hold a referendum on whether to change the constitution to allow him to stand for a controversial third term. I decided to give the people a direct voice. That's according to President Denis Sassou Nguesso, 72, who has ruled for more than 30 of the past 35 years. The proposals would allow candidates aged over 70 to run for office and scrap the two-term limit. No date was given for the referendum, but elections are due next year. And that'll be all for international news.
Is Joy News Prime.
And staying with the issue about judicial corruption, former Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, is calling on the judges and all implicated in the scandal to show remorse. His comment follows a decision by one of the implicated High Court judges, Justice Derry, to sue the International Conference Centre and Accra-based UTV for screening the documentary put together by investigative journalist Anas Anas. Speaking to Joy News, Professor Michael Quay said all the persons implicated in the scandal ought to be apologizing instead of engaging in a legal tussle to challenge the allegations against them.
As for trying to stampede the process, it will not work. Anybody in his own heart must know by now what he has done. If there's some decency left, and I will expect that certain people will by now be coming out, apologizing, confessing, and pleading for mercy. But as for trying to escape responsibility through subterfuges and some technicalities of law that they may want to apply, it will not work. Justice Bodo, you couldn't bribe him. Once the present Chief Justice was Miss Georgina Wood of the High Court, Accra, you couldn't bribe her. Justice Aban, could you take a bribe to Databan's house or Kruge's house? You dare not. So you cannot go and tolerate anybody who comes before you to come and discuss a case where he is the accused, or where his nephew is the accused, and you are discussing the case with such a person and compromising yourself. You have breached the first rule under the code.
In related development, proper checks need to be conducted before judges are appointed. That is a suggestion from the former Commissioner of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Emil Short, who believes very little due diligence is conducted before the appointment of judges. Speaking earlier on our news analysis program, The Pulse, Emil Short said, standards in the judiciary have fallen to levels that require drastic action. Time for entertainment, and Miss G is here. Good evening to you, Miss G.
Good evening, Israel.
Right,
I love your yellow tie.
You do? Well,
do.
well, as if I was looking out for the yellow in yours.
You know, it's yellow on blue.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
even though my blue is a little light.
But it's still blue anyway.
Right. Okay, so what's coming up?
A lot, you know. We spoke about Lord Kenya yesterday, but I didn't tell you everything he had been speaking about yesterday. You know, all the tussle over who is the one who owns right for the word or the genre. Hip life. Hold on.
He's not saying he is the one who introduced it.
No.
Because then it would have introduced another
dimension. Yeah. But you know that Ochami Kofi started it by saying that actually the one who we've all hailed to be the godfather or grandpapa of hip life is not. And Rockstone keeps coming to say that, look, this is me. I am the one who owns. So yesterday in my conversation with Lord Kenya, I said to him, why would anybody want to pride themselves for something that people are saying that they are not the ones who coined or founded? He said, look, he doesn't even know what is hip about what they do.
That's my past. That's why I have a testimony.
Yes.
See, it tells you I'm from somewhere coming. Probably, you know, we're talking about someone just looked at me and they said, this is not Lord Kenya. He's different now. And all that. Maybe bad for this. If you ever said to someone, this guy smoked, sniffed cocaine, drink up Hennessy full bottle and got drunk and get, they say, oh, you're lying. No. This shows where I'm coming from. This was a PS6 in London, and this was done in Canada. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and loses his or herself? Hey, high, chompia, top of the world. Yeah, get on the stage and scream, ladies. That was what I was thinking. I am, you know, the top of the world. And see, that's what Solomon said, it's a vanity upon vanity.
Any regrets?
Music is too big, it's too loud. You know, so one person cannot say it is me. You understand what I'm saying? But look, I told them, if you do music, but me, I'll tell them that all this thing is not important. You know why? Because there's nothing high about their high life. There is nothing hip about their hip life. What is more important is Christ's life. For Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes to the Father except through him, Jesus. John 14:6. What is so high about your high life? High life. What is so hip about your hip life? Hip. Is that a hip thing? No. But Christ's life.
Right, time for sports, and Kwame Joma is here. Good evening to you, Kwame.
Good evening, Easy.
One of the biggest players that has been training all day is Lewandowski, and they're scoring 5 goals in 9 minutes. Now, that's amazing. And you know what actually excited me was the BBC actually did something that compared what he had done to what other clubs had done. And one of the clubs that came up, apparently, there's some clubs that have been actually scored 9 goals.
Liverpool was one of them.
Oh my word.
And he has scored 9 goals so far in the German Bundesliga. And the thing with Lewandowski's goals are that if you've seen them, they are top goals, not the one
is it that
you scored at the Inter sometimes.
Is it that the Holy Spirit came on him or something?
It's amazing, especially when after the first half, Wolfsburg were leading by a lone goal, and he was even on the bench.
Yes,
so he came in as a sub, and within 9 minutes, it was like Wolfsburg had gone to sleep. The goals were, the pressure was so incessant. At some point, you were thinking they were going to score 8, 9, 10, 11. And I think after the 5th goal, they just decided to, just slow down a bit. Because it was unbelievable if you saw
it. It was amazing. It was amazing. Anyway, I'm sure you have a lot more.
Well, a lot more coming up in sports. Let's begin with the first Qatar Plus Premier League. Now, do you recall that last season, quite a number of former players, if you like, made a transition to play for some clubs in the first Qatar Plus Premier League. Now, one of these players who was expected to make a return was Lai Kingston. In the end, he decided not to. He says he has no plans of making a return to the Premier League.
No, I'm not thinking of coming back to play in the local league at the moment. Talking of Godwin Atram and Dankwe and all those people, I give them so much respect because it's not easy to go up there and play in Europe and then come down here and play. the facilities over there in Europe, and then when you come down, you don't have the same facilities. And then the way the management of the teams manage their clubs and the players, I think the difference is very clear. So definitely everyone that goes to Europe and then will come down and play will have problems. So I give them that respect that they've maintained their cool. Definitely they have one or two disagreements with their management and the coaches. But I like the way they've managed it, and I give them a thumb up for that. I've not retired. I've not announced my retirement, and I'm not announcing it now. When the time comes and I want to retire, I'll come out and announce to everyone.
Right, before we wrap up the bulletin, I'd just like to take you to our Facebook page and to tell you about the wonderful things we have on our Facebook page. Of course, to thank you first of all for liking us so much that now we have 201,938 likes and counting. Very soon it's going to get to 202,000. But if you get onto, typically if you go onto our Facebook page, this is what you're going to see, very latest news, along with videos as well. So here we have a story about the gonorrhea. It's already up. We have the Ghana makes list of countries eligible for HIPC assistance. That one is also up. And yeah, of course, all the funny bits that come up throughout the day, you're going to see that on our Facebook page. But that's it for the bulletin. Before we go, a quick run through our top stories. Pressure group led my vote count Alliance vows to fight perpetual injunction by police to stop them from picketing at the Electoral Commission and Parliament House. Justice Derry has sued the Accra International Conference Center and others for allowing the facility to be used to screen the documentary by Barima Osei Asare exposing judicial corruption. But this has not stopped its screening for the second time in as many days, and there's a second screening, or there's a second showing on the second day today. The poor are getting poorer in Ghana despite latest figures indicating Ghana has significantly reduced poverty as envisioned in the Millennium Development Goals. In business, the local currency is yet to react to news of the impending injection of $1.8 billion of the cocoa syndication loan into the economy, but we're being told that it is early days yet. And the Accra Mayor has ordered the demolition of new structures emerging from the ruins of the notorious slum at Old Fadama here in Accra. That's it for the bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening and enjoy your holiday tomorrow.
This is Joy News Prime.